demons. Faded blue jeans, no tricks, no gimmicks. I've been stomping down, 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 down demons. Rolling up trees in the belly of the beast where the people disagree.
You see, I was doing all this research, writing all of these papers with a lot of math, a lot of notation, and it just started to feel like it was a Hollywood facade. All of this math, all of this notation just kind of creaking under its own weight. The math was rich, it was beautiful, but it was completely bereft of facts and data. What was pretty exciting and cool in a way, but kind of a scandal, is nobody could prove us wrong because we never actually had to put data into our algorithms to see if they worked. And in the rare cases where we did put data into the algorithms, we'd always kind of jury-rigged it so that the algorithms gave us just the perfect little answers we wanted, and with the patina of absolute scientific certainty. Our algorithms were like teenagers, if you have any at home. Frequently wrong, never confused. So this problem, where a piece of math or an algorithm gives you an answer that's much too certain, based on what the facts allow, that infers or learns too much from too little, I think this problem deserves a name. Let's call it the little fiddle problem, learning too much from too little. Put a pin in this, we're going to come back to it. So at the time, I just felt like I was part of this little priesthood committed to protecting the secrets of Little Fiddle and all of its sacred mysteries from the lay people. It didn't feel useful, it didn't feel terribly productive. So under Ron's supervision, I finished a mathy, but I thought a slightly more practical dissertation, started running, and I was running. Never looked back. So now fast forward 20 years, 3 companies later, I'm sitting at the kitchen table with Vivek. We're trying to conceptualize what the new thing is going to be about. We don't really know. We don't know what the product's going to be, who the customers are going to be. So he said, well, let's just write down sort of the axioms of what this thing needs to be about. And there were 10 of them. It's subject for a different talk, but they included things like must be hard and cool, because Vivek and I like hard, cool problems. There was this low to high idea. Small customers, large customers, attacking central problems that we could serve from a central platform. And there was a third, which had to do with this feeling we had at the time that, you know, these big data technologies might be more than buzzwords. They were sort of taking root. They started to feel like you could actually build on them. And we felt that we were just operating increasingly in a world that was just awash with data. More than that, it felt like a lot of the phenomena or issues out there that previously couldn't be boiled down to bits and bytes suddenly could. We were anticipating the datafication of everything. Now, there's an interesting example of this. Comes from Professor Shigeomi Koshimitsu at the Advanced Institute of Technology in Tokyo. I believe we have a couple of our partners and friends from Dentsu here with us today, so perhaps you've studied with Professor Koshimitsu or you know of him. Professor Koshimitsu decided to put the numbers to it and analyze the way you sit in your chair, crunching all of the data signatures tied to the contours of your body, your posture, your weight distribution. And he showed that it could be turned into a digital code that's unique for each individual. And amazingly, it can identify you with 98% accuracy. So there you have it, and it's not just a stupid college joke. Even your posterior presents its own unique digital signature. Even your butt can be datafied. So without knowing what a company was going to be about, we felt instinctively that its ambition should be to democratize the access to an application of data to solve ever larger problems in anticipation of a world where everything was going to be datafied. Okay, great. We're kind of sort of underway, but not really. We're sort of at that point, like the one in Woody Allen's Annie Hall, if you've seen the movie, where the Hollywood producer is at a party, flirting with somebody, carrying on like Hollywood producers do, talking about his new project, and he says, well, right now, it's only a notion, but I think I can get money to turn it into a concept and later turn it into an idea. So we've got a notion, Vivek and I, about the datafication of everything, but it's barely a start. Narrowing in, we latched onto 4 non-negotiables that have really defined everything we've done since that time. First, every piece of data is precious. Vivek and I had worked in data-rich environments before, where we'd work from samples, snapshots, extracts. But we didn't feel like that was going to suffice in a world where these big data technologies were taking shape and where you finally had the opportunity for the first time to wrap your hands around all of it. In the language of statisticians, you'd work a problem, n equals 20. I got 20 data points. Let's see what we can come up with from that. N equals 20,000. N equals 20 million, 200 million. Our ridiculous idea was we have to support n equals all. And not just to capture and store n equals all, which a lot of people do, but to actually be able to take action, analyze, activate for n equals all. Now, why does this matter? I mean, is this just technical mumbo-jumbo, technicians run amok just for technology's sake? Well, you don't have to be a professional statistician to know that samples, extracts, panels can lead to answers that can tilt results, introduce bias in strange ways. And there's no better example of this than in an election year where we pick up the paper. You can't pick up the paper these days without seeing something about another poll, and increasingly polls that are wrong. Bernie Sanders was supposed to lose in Michigan by a wide margin, according to polls. He won by 20%. So polls can tell you just about anything you want to believe. Like the ancient Greeks, we look out at the sky, we see big dippers, small dippers, bears. You look at data, especially partial data, you can see anything you want to see. Psychologists have called this the availability or observability bias. We anchor on the data that's available, and like teenagers, we frequently draw conclusions that are much too certain given what the data prescribes. We misperceive things, we believe what we want to believe, but data sets us free. Okay, that was thing one, but we realized, look, if we solve this n equals all thing, we could find ourselves suddenly in the business of just reporting millions of cool, interesting little factoids. We actually had to crunch it all. So n equals all was just the first step. We needed to move into the next thing, which was moving from sensing to sense-making. A dog watching television looks at the screen, sees, smells, senses everything. But he is, after all, a dog watching television. Now, this might sound like a silly example, but it's at the core of what we're after when we're trying to build these intelligent systems. There's a Justin Timberlake song, maybe we can ask DJ Miss Ninja to play for us at a break, called "Give Me Something I Don't Know I Want." That's actually an excellent expression of the charter for sense-making, right? Can these systems give us things that we didn't know we want? Can they discover patterns, clusters, possibilities that we haven't even thought of? Without supervision, can they become better than dogs watching television or dogs that have been trained to respond to particular commands? Can they explain why the traffic ebbs and flows, who a nation of millions will elect as their next president? This is the realm of learning, prediction, sense-making. Sensing is about the what so. Sense-making is all about the so what. Which brings us to this third pillar, the idea of data as an asset. On the heels of the consumer web revolution, we're carrying around all of these devices and gizmos in our pockets and our bags. Interesting to hear Bonin talk to that last night. The last thing we connect to before we go to bed is not our spouse, but our mobile device. These devices are throwing off billions and billions of little data points about our wants, our desires, our mistakes, our propensities, things we hate, things we like. So more than ever before, this data has become the hard new currency for companies, governments, institutions. Today, the who is primary, right? People, not machines, not code, define the context for every increasingly datafied scrap of our total experience. And when we talk about data, increasingly we have people data in mind. My favorite philosopher, William James, once said, you can't weed out the human dimension. People data is no longer along for the ride. It's not a little piece of exhaust lost in a CRM record or a shipping notice. It's the whole point. Now, this isn't just a philosophical concept. It's happening in the most pedestrian moments of your life. One of my favorite ones is when I'm at Safeway. I bought my groceries. I'm there in the line. The cashier is scanning the groceries. They like to keep things moving. So they always tell you, please, just enter your code. They want to parallelize things, have me enter my code while they're scanning the groceries. Keep things moving. I'm always the pesky one who sits there and says, wait, no, I'll enter my code, but I haven't hit the green enter button yet. Keep scanning, hold. I want to see, after all the groceries have been scanned, what's the number? Hit the button. $120 worth of groceries, suddenly entered my Safeway Club code, it's $101. I just saved $19. That's magic. What's going on? Well, it turns out the groceries are worth $120, but the data about me, what I like, what I just bought, it's worth $19. To Safeway, to all of the partners who are trying to sell groceries through Safeway's channel. So data is valuable. It has become its own asset. Okay, there was a fourth and final imperative. At the time, Vivek and I felt like, wow, there are a number of these actors out here who are taking liberties with data. They're skimming, borrowing, sometimes stealing it, and it's degrading trust. And so we felt that there was this kind of ethical consideration, almost a counterforce, that we had to take very, very seriously. We felt that we needed to do whatever we could to decreepify the internet. We knew that dirty, ill-gotten data was our industry's blood diamonds, that nobody wanted to be caught knowingly selling, buying, or trading it. And irrespective of what the regulations called for, we just felt that we had to do the right thing. We had to embed privacy and control into every bolt, every beam, every structure of what we were about to build, not as an afterthought, but at design time. And we thought that, hey, if we manage to do that, we can play some small role in decreepifying the internet while helping companies find more productive, respectful ways to engage with the customers thereafter. And so with these imperatives in mind, the vision just kind of washed all over us, snapped into place. We realized that people data was the whole point. People data was going to power everything that was ahead. Data was the crux of the matter. We would name the company Crux. And our vision, then as now, is to cover the world in data fabric that captures and makes sense of this flood of people data and connects it intelligently to the screens, the devices, those little moments of truth, so that we can all get more of what we want and so that we can all move forward productively together. That was the vision that took us from the kitchen table to the whiteboard, and it appears we were onto something. In my mind, I'm a millennial and Crux is still a startup, but in fact, Crux is a young, grown-up company, and I'm certainly not a millennial. The datafication of everything is compelling companies like you to invest in the tooling required to make sense of that flood of people data, to find new ways to engage with customers, users, prospects who want it perfect, they want it personal, they want it now. Crux is privileged to serve many of the world's leading brands across the globe, from offices in San Francisco, LA, New York, Boston, London, Hamburg, Paris, Tokyo, Sydney. Astonishingly, we're interacting with over 3 billion devices and browsers per month. This isn't just an online phenomenon. On behalf of our customers and our partners, we're ingesting over 3 billion CRM records per month. We're hosting an analytic on-demand environment of 20 petabytes and counting. That's 10x the amount of information in the Library of Congress and 80 times the amount of information in all of the research institutions across the world combined. At Crux, we talk a lot about data in, data out. 200 billion data collection events per month. We had to find a way in our business to express the velocity of that data capture. So in case you're curious, it's 10 Twitters and counting, 40% more than the number of Google searches per second. On the data outside, 200 billion signals sent per month to integration and execution partners. So this is not just a concept on its way to an idea. It's real, and it's happening today. You know, our industry can be more than a little faddish. There's always a new buzzword that kind of grabs everyone's attention. Programmatic direct, social listening war rooms, landing page optimization. At Crux, we just decided, you know what? We're going to hedgehog our way through this. We're going to do these 4 things, and we're going to do them well, and we're not going to zig and zag. So remember, N equals all. That's what we call completeness. We throw nothing away. Every scrap of data is precious. Every piece of it is stored and available for activation and analysis at any time. 100% of it available, whether you referred to it, whether you mapped it, whether you queried against it, pointed at it, whether you even knew it existed. All of that data across 100% of your customers, 100% of the time, is ready for action. There's a first-gen DMP out there that has something they call the Unused Signals Report. Excuse me? Unused signals? To all of us at Crux, a pile of unused signals is like a half-eaten can of Pringles. Why would you ever do that? If you can self-regulate better than I do, you know, eat half the can, but save it, snack on it a little later. At Crux, no data is ever unused. With completeness, every piece of it is available for analysis and activation at any moment. What about sense-making? How do we get to the so what and stay off the rocks of just reporting the what so? Well, this is manifest in a very serious commitment to data science. We knew that if we captured every piece of data through completeness, we could solve those little fiddle problems that had plagued earlier attacks on data science and AI. And we do that by nourishing algorithms that are hungry for data. This is not about testing algorithms in little clean rooms like we did in graduate school, jury-rigging it with little speckles and pieces and bits. It's about throwing web-scale, petabytes worth of data at these algorithms to see how they perform in the wild. Now, as I said, algorithms are hungry for data. So algorithms, well fed by complete data, it turns out, are much better equipped to give you the what so and the so what than really good-looking but underfed, undernourished algorithms. The third payoff was about attacking that question of data as asset. This is Crux's identity management infrastructure, which puts people at the center. It's not an application. It's not something we bolted or grafted on afterwards. It's not something we rely on the kindness of strangers or erstwhile partners to help us do. It's core. It's something we do because we recognize mobile devices don't buy beer, and laptops don't check financial portfolios. This, for me, is one of the coolest connections to earlier times, right? Because it allows me to nourish in my professional day job those earlier interests in philosophy. There's a lot of technical problem solving going on for sure, but people are at the center and can't be weeded out. William James was right. We're embracing the idea that every piece of you, every data signature provides the clues that can help the companies trying to reach you do that in a more productive, respectful way. Speaking of respectful, remember the fourth imperative the decreepification of the internet. How do we attack that at Crux? Well, this is manifest in our steady commitment to governance. Governance and security are stitched into every part of what we do. We're the first company to take this seriously. Many of you might not know it, but Data Sentry, the application that helps companies monitor and detect when other entities are coming in and borrowing or stealing data from their website, that was the very first application we shipped. Tag management was the second one. And candidly, we were interested in tag management less as a mechanism for managing tags from the IT perspective, but we thought of it much more strategically. This was the method by which you could provision and control the movement of data to just authorized partners on terms and timing that you could choose. So today, with Crux Link and supporting capabilities like restricted data leasing, trust and verify, software-enabled data governance, we're giving our customers a secure transport layer for sharing people data, again, only on the terms, times, conditions of their choosing. The grand synthesis of these four capabilities, operationalized by a rich set of connectivity services and horizontal applications, is what we call the Intelligent Marketing Hub. In essence, it's the brain of the Marketing Cloud. Now, what do brains do? The first thing they do is they capture information from lots of different sources. They sense danger. They protect their host. That makes sense. Intelligent Marketing Hub from Crux does those things. But importantly, brains don't just know, they send instructions. I use my brain, hopefully, to remember this keynote, but I also use my brain to instruct my finger to wobble around like that, to instruct my fingers, knees, and toes to move to the side. So brains orchestrate action. And in the context of the Marketing Cloud, the IMH is putting data to work to find new customers, to engage more productively with existing ones, to harmonize and accelerate interactions across content, commerce, collaboration, all of it. Peugeot is using Crux's IMH to orchestrate interactions with their prospects and users by painting the page. Everything that that user has done in the prior 5 seconds or in the prior 9 months, all of that intelligence flown into that little moment of truth and used to give the user a better experience. Peugeot's put the numbers to it, and the numbers don't lie. They're seeing a 200% improvement in conversions on outcomes that matter to them. Test driving a car, applying for auto financing. Instructively, not a click. Marketing outcomes that matter to Peugeot. So Crux is providing that orchestration function for Peugeot, for partners like ComScore, to help customers detect non-human traffic and non-viewable ads, or close partners like TubeMogul to see and sync users in real time via what we call fast lane integration. So experience orchestration happens across both partners and users. So the same underlying technology powering IMH, what Jeff Moore has dubbed the system of engagement, performs this very natural orchestration brain function across multiple clouds, all of them powered by people data. The Marketing Cloud, Advertising Cloud, Content Cloud, Commerce Cloud. But what about the Health Cloud or the Government Cloud? Right? So for those of you scratching your head and wondering, well, Tom, you're talking a lot about IMH, all these other kinds of clouds. I'm a little confused. What happened to DMP? Tom, I mean, are you still down with DMP? DJ Mistincha, can you help me out here? Of course. Of course we're still down with DMP. We're down with DMP. You know me, you know Crux. Of course we're still down with DMP. But the thing that happens as frequently in technology is that DMP is just an in-between state. It's a path to something else. Sort of like a horseless carriage. It's not a horse, not yet understood to be an automobile. DMP is the swirl of this much larger possibility. We believe that IMH and the system of engagement that powers it is this whole new class of technology that the market is now coming to fully understand. Early on, we knew if we could prove our mettle with publishers like New York Times and Turner, that would give us the confidence to proceed onward to attack similar problems for marketers like Priceline, Kellogg's, ConAgra, who are struggling with many of the same questions. If you were here last year, you heard me introduce this concept of the marketer. Half marketer, half publisher. And in fact, what we see at Crux is a lot of that going on now with our customers. New York Times is one good example, right? They want to use data management to improve the value of their offerings on the audience or media side, but they also have a pure play marketing objective to find new paying subscribers, all of it fed by the same data, the same platform. Marketers like L'Oreal and Peugeot are trying to come up with cooler content experiences that draw consumers ever closer to their brand. So these lines between marketer and publisher are blurring. Crux is Switzerland. We don't have a dog in this hunt. We're purely facilitators, which is why we will never, acting as a principal, buy or sell data or media of any kind. And this means that by design, we can never be at cross purposes with our customers. If publishers want to participate in Crux Link, they have the option, but not the obligation, to send and share data on times, terms, conditions of their choosing. If marketers who aren't finding value from third-party data sets want to gain access to proprietary data, they want to send CRM data to trusted partners, they can do that. But if data is to flow, it's going to happen under the plain light of day, and we're going to give all of our clients and partners and customers full control, full ownership at every step.